gonna start. I'm starting. I think it's around 3 o'clock. And it's not Hawaiian outside today, people. Hello, Retro Road Mappers. Here, boop. Listen to me, boop. Trying. Craig Nye, nice to see you. Craig Nye, not the science guy, but an awesome guy himself. Hello, everybody. Maud Betty. Exactly. Aloha. Aloha, Craig. Mecca lecca hi, mecca aloha ho. Maud Betty here for the 40th. I'm pretty sure today is the 40th. Aloha, Cliff Hillis from all the way in the other room. Aloha, Laura Stevens. Aloha, Debbie. I love it. Everybody's chiming in. This is so much fun. Today is the 40th. The 40th video I have done since the beginning of this COVID crisis. Starting back in March 17th of 2020, I started this, and then I decided to say, hey, why don't we pretend to visit one state in the union per session? So today, just so you know, we're a bit out of order. Mahalo, Michael Hirsch, nice to see you. Lynn, nice to see you too. All sorts of people showing up, and you know why? Because who the heck would not want to be in some place glorious and tropical like Hawaii right now? I am not in Hawaii. Those of you who have tuned in for these last many weeks will recognize the backdrop here as the Retro Roadmap. I was calling it the summer studio, and now it is kind of transitioned into the autumn studio. But I will be honest with you, it's getting a little bit chilly out here sometimes. And I think, frankly, this is going to be so freaking depressing. But when it starts to get darker out in the afternoon, like when it starts to get like dark at like 4 o'clock, I am going to have to move this inside. And this was reinforced to me today because I was doing the research for today's state. So we have done, oh crap, I forgot well, here, we'll pretend this. Jeff Cooper, nice to see you. How are ya? I am in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, nice to see you, Bruce. Thank you for chiming in, everybody. So as some of you may know, but I'll review for those new folks who I'm welcoming in happily. I cover a state a week, and my goal is, my destination, as I like to call them in the Retro Roadmap, Just Drive Your Life world, my destination is to get through all 50 states in the U.S. by the end of this year, one a week, taking a couple of weeks off for holidays and whatnot. But yeah, the last state I will do will be California. That will be on New Year's Eve day. But today we're doing Hawaii. I've done all these other ones in the U.S., many of them. This is not my original map. I have this one for scale. But the reason I'm doing Hawaii today, kind of in the middle of it, I think last week, did we do Texas? No, last week was New Mexico. Next week will be crap, the one begins with A and it's a K and it's not Alaska. I don't know. Alaska. But anyhow, Retro Road Husband and I, aloha, Todd Kimmel, nice to see you. Retro Road Husband and I actually had tickets. We were supposed to be in Hawaii this very week, and my plan had been to surprise you all and be like, hey, everybody, look, I'm in Hawaii doing the Hawaii episode. Yeah, it didn't work out. COVID. But me being all zen, we will go there. We will go there next year, if not as soon as we can do it safely. And and the cool thing is because I am doing today's episode, first of all, oh my gosh, doing the research for this, I'll be honest, I didn't want to stop doing the research because all I was seeing was like pictures of like swaying palms. Get it? Palms swaying. Palm trees and beaches and all sorts of tropical warmth and wonderfulness. As you can see, I've already got my hoodie on and my hands are cold and I don't even have my sandals on anymore. So it was lovely to do the research. But the neat thing is that now I know so much better about what I want to do and what we want to do when we get there. And that's what I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you, as I do every week, the Maud Betty's fave things that if she were going to that state, these are the things that she would want to do. And because I am retro roadmap worthy, they will often include old school, old-timey things. That being said, out of all of the states that I'm covering here, this is like the most, not even like, this is the most exotic state. So I implore you, please don't go to Hawaii and look for the things that you do at home. Like, I mean, I guess if you want to get a burger, you could do it, and you could get it at a 60s burger place, but why not try the local cuisine? You know, like, try something different. If there are any states, if there would be any state in the Union that it would be time to branch out and try something new, it would be Hawaii. Speaking of branching out, I printed this out because I'm so high tech and I don't have multiple screens. But see, so here we are in the continental US. As we would say up in Boston, Hawaii is wicked far away. It's the middle of the ocean. So there are 8, let me see, I got my stuff. It's, Hawaii is an archipelago, and it's got 8 major islands. It's got a couple of different things. I'm only going to cover about 5 of the islands because that's where a lot of the interesting things are, you know. So I've got them right here. Ooh, puffa rice. I want to hear about that. But here are the islands, and I really basically wrote that down so I would remember which ones they are. And some of them have a few pins, and some of them have none, and some of them have a bunch. But the thing is that just because of my pins, seriously, you guys, I'm telling you, go there and chill and relax and be warm, and just do the local things. Now, a lot of the things, and I swear I'll get to them. I know I'm yakking here, but you can Google, and I did it today, what to do when I'm in Hawaii, and you will get the generic things to do, and which is fine because maybe some of those you should do, like go to a luau, you know, or go see Pearl Harbor. All of those things you can easily Google, but what I'm going to tell you are some of the cool kind of old school, funky, fun, vintagey things that I love to do. So let's hit the ground running, shall we? So we're going to start actually. So we're going to start here in Oahu. And the reason we're going to start in Oahu is because that is the probably the most populated, you know, kind of condensed with a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of places to go to, you know, kind of touristy, but also commercial. But that's also where if you're flying in, you'll most likely be flying into Honolulu. And so if you only have the opportunity to go to one of the islands, I want to make sure that you know all the things you can do when you get there. So here are the fun things that I picked out. What I do every week, and you can see I put a little pin on the map here, and this was hysterical, okay? I gotta share you the first one. So somebody I went to high school with actually lives in Hawaii. She's a good friend of mine. We do a Zoom call every week with a bunch of us, and so I have a pin in my map of where she lives. And then I found out that she lives literally within walking distance of this very first place I'm gonna tell you, which is also right around the corner from the Rainbow Drive-In, Bailey Ma. So thank you for mentioning that. Yes, and P.S., anybody who's got Hawaii places you want people to know about, put them in the comments here, okay? I get to see them. If they're not flipping by too quickly, I will read them and comment on them. But if not, the great thing is they're archived there for me to see and add to my map. Poke, poke, poke. And also for people who are watching now will get to see the places you recommend, and people who can't tune in the afternoon can see this when I archive it on the Retro Roadmap Facebook page with the videos on it. Okay, so the first place I want to tell you, Leonard's Bakery. Oh my gosh, so not only is this within walking distance of my friend Spy, but it has been around since 1952. It's not only this kind of, it's got a great Hawaiian baked good that I'm going to tell you about, but it's got this fabulous kind of neon sign, this old school sign. So Leonard's Bakery, so funny too, is I bought a t-shirt with the sign on it for Retro Road Husband, and I think it's arriving in the mail today, and I didn't even know it was right down the street from her. So the neat thing about Leonard's Bakery, right, Honolulu, is open since 1952, and they have something that you and I might call a donut or a fritter, but they call them a malasada. So a malasada is a Portuguese riff on donuts, and deep fried dough covered in sugar, num num, and The neat thing is about getting them in Hawaii is the ones that are in Hawaii, they tend to fill them kind of like donuts. So there are a number of places you can go. The Hawaiians, people in Hawaii have a sweet tooth, just like Maud Betty. A number of places you can go and try the different varieties. You know, I'm always about exploring places via the Tum Tum, you know. So that is, donuts, fritters, malasadas. So there's another place I think I'm going to mention too. They're also kind of like, when you've got all that leftover goodness, you've got your flour and your lard and your sugar and your salt and everything, and you need to get rid of all the good things before you do the Catholic Lent thing. They often do that as well. So Leonard's Bakery in Honolulu, right down the street from where Bailey Ma, my Route 66, I don't want to say counterpart, but crew member, the Rainbow Drive-In. Now, the Rainbow Drive-In, I think, has a couple of locations, but the original is right down the street from Leonard's Bakery. It's in Honolulu. It's been open since 1961. And to me, this is a place, let's say you're like me. I got a wicked sweet tooth, and I'd be happy to have a donut for dinner. Retro Road Husband, on the other hand, he is a savory tooth, and he's just like, it is not a meal. That is just dessert. I need something, salty, crunchy, proteiny, and all that. So the Rainbow Drive-In, while you can drive in, they don't have car hop service anymore, but you can eat underneath, place. They got little wings hanging out there, and they have some really delicious things. They've got your burgers and stuff, like you can get that, but you can also get a couple of things. One thing in Hawaii that they're famous for is like a lunch plate, like a mix, like I think it's called a luncheon plate, and it's basically a riff on the meat and three, the Southern meat and three. So they've got that, like a mixed plate. Let me see what I had written down because this looks really good. Yeah, plate lunch. That's it. Hawaiian plate lunch. They've got a mixed plate and a chili plate. Their mixed plate is got, they've got some scoops. So they get the scoops of salad. One is rice. One is macaroni salad. And then they've got fried mahi. They've got boneless chicken. They've got boneless ribs. And then here's another one too. Now, this is one that probably Retro Road Husband, I would be sicking him on this because he will eat most anything. Loco Moco. Anybody know what that is? Okay, I'll tell you. Loco Moco is kind of like a breakfasty thing, and what it basically is rice, and then a hamburger patty, and gravy, and a sunny side up egg on top. Now, if that does not get you set for the day, or maybe cure your hangover from the night before, I don't know, whatever. But that is a local Hawaiian thing, the Loco Moco. So you can get that at the Rainbow Drive-In. And then some of these places are right around the corner from Waikiki Beach, famous Waikiki Beach. But and of course that's going to be like over touristy and really overdeveloped. There will be a few vintagey places you can go. Like there are some fancy hotels. What is it? The Queen Kapiolani. Q, the place where I say, oh crap, I'm mispronouncing things, and Hawaii is one of those ones that I'm probably going to mangle, so I apologize that. But it's a mid-century modern hotel. There's a White Sands hotel that looks kind of neat. Now, I will say I'm not being, paid to advertise any of these places, but I pay attention when I'm doing my research to the places that make me go, ooh, like that sounds interesting. And other places that make me go, meh, that's beige and boring. So the White Sands Hotel. White Sands Hotel has been open since 1957. Kind of laid back. They have kind of zhuzhed themselves up and brought back their streamlined classic, kind of 1950s laid back vibe, which I totally love. I love it when I see the fact that there is an old school building, and instead of knocking it down, they recognize how cool it is and they bring it back. So that's the White Sands Hotel, Waikiki. There are also a bunch of other fancy ones, like really kind of ritzy ones that, trust me, when I have the money, not if, when, I will stay in one of those ones, because why the heck not? But if I don't currently have that money right now, I'm still in Hawaii, you can walk around the grounds maybe, or they have a restaurant or a bar, and that's a way to kind of, absorb the vibe without paying for a really expensive bed. So that's that. There was a couple of fun things. There are statues, like if you're into like being on, yes, Todd Kimball, I'm going to mention that. I'm so glad you said that. because that's on another one of those islands, but it's so freaking interesting. But while we're here at Waikiki Beach, a couple of things to mention. If you're one of those people who goes on vacation and wants to like put your arm around, be like, look, I'm hanging out with somebody, like, you know, like Gandhi, for example. There's a Gandhi statue you can get your picture taken with. There's also one, it's a little bit more up the beach. There's an Elvis statue you can get your picture taken at or with because of Aloha via satellite. And Don Ho. There's a Don Ho statue. Now, two things that just occurred to me that I'm going to totally admit that I should have done a better job at, but it's live, and I'm not asking, you're not paying for this, and this is done out of the generosity of my heart. So here are two things I would want you to look up, because this is what I'm going to do when I get off the camera. First of all, I just remember when I said aloha or something like that? So there's that thing where they go like hang loose and stuff. Look, you can tell how relaxed I am because my hang loose is all like the claw of doom. There's a story about how that hang loose guy, like how that got invented. There's a statue of that guy. So research that because it's interesting. And then there was another, Don Ho. You know what? I should have totally remembered to look at like the tiki glasses that remind me of what hotel he used to play at, singing the Tiny Bubbles. So that's a thing to look at. There's a place called International Marketplace. I'm sure it's got all sorts of tacky souvenirs if you like that. Oh, there is this is not at the beach, but since we were talking about things to pose with and famous people to pose with, over on the other side of town, there's like a Whole Foods, I think. That's what it showed on the map. But you can, there's a bust of Jack Lord. Jack Lord from, you know, Hawaii Five-0. You can hear it. You see, I don't even have to hum it because I know you've all got that theme song in your head right now, right? Ba 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 ba. This is me surfing, okay? Ba 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 ba. I just love that stuff. Anyhow, Honolulu also has the Hawaii Theater. Fancy, neat place. Opened up in 1922. Did the whole thing where it started out real cool. Then people didn't like it anymore. Then people saved it. Now they loved it. Reopened in 1996. It's on the National Trust for Historic Preservation. So that's a retro road map worthy place. Ooh, speaking of me liking the theme song to Hawaii Five-0, I am also a big fan of tiki culture. You know, that kind of fruity drinks that give you wicked headaches, colorful clothes, fun people. The oldest tiki bar in Hawaii is in Honolulu. It is the La Mariana Sailing Club. It's kind of hidden, so I'm giving you the scoop. And it is open since 1957 and still open. And you can get tiki drinks there, you know, like a Mai Tai, Navy Grog, all those things. So the oldest tiki bar is the La Mariana Sailing Club. Speaking as I was before of sweet treats to eat that are, you know, a delicacy that you don't get anywhere else, there is a place called the Liliha Bakery, and they have a thing called the Cocoa Puff. I don't know if anybody's had this. It's not, you know, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs cereal, little crunchy guys. What it is like, it's like a cream puff. They say it's a cream puff filled with cocoa custard. Already I'm like, num, num, num. Topped with a dollop of coconut, and then it's finished off in the oven. And this is at the Liliha Bakery. The cool thing about this place, not only is it a bakery and it's been around since 1950, and it has this wicked sweet treat that you can't get anywhere else. Like, boom, like if that weren't enough. It ends up that also, that place is a 24-hour, sorry, somebody just pulled up to the house, and I'm like, can I help you? Live theater. In any case, where was I? I was in Hawaii. Okay, there's another car. I don't know what's going on, people. We're in Hawaii. I'm in Hawaii. I'm at a 24-hour bakery, right? And they sell these sweet things, but they also, it's kind of like, they call it a diner, but it was more like a coffee shop. So they're open 24 hours. So if you're looking for like a late night kind of like locals treat to go to and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I would go there, because that's the thing with Hawaii too, because it's an island, a bunch of islands, things can be pretty pricey. So some of these places I am telling you about are ones that you might be able to eat a little bit more like a local. So that is the Liliha Bakery. And then the last place I'm going to mention on the island of Oahu before we go island hopping, which we'd have to do. You have to fly to these places. Is the Bishop Museum in Kamehameha, and I'm sorry. This is live. All right, live neighbors. The Bishop Museum is got all these Polynesian artifacts, and this is a neat thing. So Massachusetts people, my Mass peeps, listen up. They have a Heiai-ku carving. There are only 2 others. Oh, actually, Jeff Cooper, you'll like this too. There are only 2 of these other carvings in the entire world. One is at the Peabody Essex Museum in Massachusetts, and you can tell I'm Massachusettsian because I said Peabody and not Peabody. But the other one is in the British Museum in London. So that is a place. And then I do admit that, I totally want to learn more about the actual culture of what goes on, what was happening in Hawaii prior to becoming a state, how it was like a territory, and then we decided they wanted to be a state, which that is awesome. But there's also a section of the Bishop Museum devoted to kind of kitsch and Polynesian pop, and that is kind of my jam. So I would go there and listen to the serious, but also the silly, because I'm a combination of the two. Okay. All right, we're going island hopping now, and I'm going to pop us over here to Molokai Island. Now, here's the funny thing. Talk about tiki culture. The reason that some of these island names are familiar to me is because they are the names of tiki bars or sections of tiki bars. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it's either in like Disney or the Maikai, who has like the Molokai Lounge. Any of my tiki peeps, if you remember, if you know what I'm talking about, feel free to put that in there. But there are really 2 things that I want to tell you about. And if I'm not mistaken, up thread, it's kind of hard for me to see because I'm just doing this on my phone. It's kind of small. Anyhow, Molokai, there's 2 things. So Todd Kimmel, you started talking about this, and I will hit that on the ground running, is the Kalawelu Papa in Molokai, Hawaii, is where the leper colony was. So this is crazy. So there, remember, leprosy climbing all over me. That's what my mother used to sing to us as children. And that's why I am the way I am today. Thanks, Mom. So there was a colony. People had this thing. I think it's called Hansen's disease in real life, but leprosy. And they told people that when they had that, they had to move. They moved them to this island so they would be separated so nobody else would catch it. There's a guy named Father Damien who came and helped out these people. He became a saint. There was another woman, I forget her name. I apologize. That's so bad of me. She was also named a saint, I believe. And they had to not, it was a crazy place. That you couldn't see your family, whatever. Well, now they know how to cure it, and very few people have it. Last time I checked, there were a handful of older folks who still live there. But what you can do is if you make arrangements, you can go and visit the, I'm calling it the leper colony, I apologize. There's probably something more diplomatic to call it. But you can do that. And also, here's kind of a fun thing to do. Hansen's disease. Yes, thank you. You could actually take a mule ride to the leper colony. That sounds kind of interesting, so you're learning about history and you're learning about people who have a thing that people don't want to catch and how people deal with it. I don't know. Let's take a mule there. So that is a really fascinating place. I personally would love to do that. The other thing I would do when I was on the island of Molokai after I did that is I would send not just a postcard. No. Because this is so cool. On the island of Molokai, you can go to the post office in Hulehua. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. You can mail a coconut to people. You can mail a coconut. You can be like, Maud Betty, P.O. Box 896. I don't think it would fit in my P.O. box, but I'd try. But you can go and you can get a coconut. They will put stamps on your coconut, and you can mail the coconut, and then somebody gets a coconut with stamps on it in the mail. And I just think that's so cool. Don't you? So I would be like, hey, I assume you can write on it, like, hey, Mom, here I am. We just went to leper colony. Here's a coconut. I'm in Hawaii. I love that so much. So Go there, go on a mule, see the leper colony, send somebody a coconut. Send one home to yourself. Oh, that's such a good idea. Isn't that such a good idea? I love that. Ooh, there's another old leper colony. Ooh, you see, when I get to go to Crete, I'll do that. Well, I think the coconuts migrate, Jeff Cooper, actually, if you send them in the mail, so that might be a thing. So that's Molokai, all right? Now, here's one, and I always feel like some of you will know who I'm talking about, but, so Kauai right here. Every time I pronounce this in my head, I feel like I'm pronouncing it like the skipper on Gilligan's Island. I'm going to Hawaii. Remember, he always be like, oh, we're in Hawaii. So I'm talking about Kauai up here. So Kauai is a pretty chill place. There's not a lot to do, which is fine because you know what? These places are so beautiful. You shouldn't be in the mall or doing stuff. Maybe you just chill and absorb the awesomeness of the region. But the one place that would make me want to come here, besides just chilling, which I need to learn how to do, is up here. I wrote it down here. Is it, well, it's on the, yeah, I want to say Hanalei. There's a tiki bar on Kauai called the Tiki Iniki. And I love tiki bars, so I kind of make me want to go there anyway. And then I will give you the name of the person who developed this and kind of has made it a destination. And then I will tell you why that name may sound familiar to you, and maybe that will make it be a place you want to go to. So it's the Tiki Iniki Tiki Bar, cool enough in itself. And this woman, Michelle Rundgren, started to kind of bring it back to life or started up in around 2013. Now, you may recognize her last name because she has a husband with the same last name, and his name is Todd Rundgren. So Todd Rundgren and his wife, mainly his wife, have this tiki bar on Kauai, where am I? Backwards. Called the Tiki Iniki. And I'm thinking, hey, that'd be cool. Go up there, have a tiki drink, get tired, fall asleep, chill, relax, beautiful. So nice to think about when it's getting colder here. So that's Kauai. Oh, the other thing in Kauai too, pardon me, is, you know, the movie South Pacific, Some Enchanted Evening. Isn't that what that's from? And wash that man right out of your hair. And there ain't nothing like a dame. And something else. There's a bunch of really good songs from South Pacific, but they filmed a lot of that in that area. In Hanalei, they filmed some of those. So if you're one of those people who likes to be like, hey, I want to go see where they filmed this movie or this TV show, you could also do that up there as well. So that is on the island of Kauai up here. And then we did Oahu, Molokai, Maui, and the island of Hawaii. We're gonna hop all over to them. So here's the thing. Like, you got a little things and you got to figure out which ones are important to you. Kind of like in life. And this is where Maud Betty does kind of the, what do I want to call it? The just drive your life touch base. Because here's the deal. Like, there are a lot of places, but you have to pick the pins. The pins on the map are the places that you say you want to get to in your life. Like, ooh, I want to do that. Ooh, I want to own that sofa. Or I want to live in a house that looks like this. Or I want to travel to Hawaii, but I want to do this. The more specific you can be about it, and the more real you make it in your head, it's so much easier for you to figure out what it is. Like, if you just say, oh, I want to go to Hawaii. Well, you can do that, but if you don't do any more research about it, you'll be like, I don't know where I want to go. Whereas now I know so much more of where I want to go and where, like, I would be okay if I didn't do it, but other places I'd be like bummed if I missed it, you know? Like, for example, let me see. We're in Maui. So there's Maui, the IAO Theater, opened in 1928, built in a Spanish mission style. You know, I love that. But how funny, Spanish mission style in Hawaii. And now it is part of the Maui Community Theater. So that is a retro road map worthy place, but there are so many other places in Hawaii that look legitimately Hawaiian. So this is where you need to kind of like explore and get out of, I don't say get out of your comfort zone, but just see what's around, you know, kind of like going to I was joking with myself earlier when I was talking about this, and I think you go to a foreign country and please don't go to an American chain restaurant, you know, branch out and try what the place is known for, you know. So you can go to the IAO Theater, or you can go up to the Lahaina Jodo Mission and see the largest Buddha statue outside of Japan. So there's a big Buddha statue who's got a belly you might want to rub in Japan. But the second largest Buddha belly, besides Retro Road Husband, is in Maui. So like we would totally go there and check that out. And it's right up the street from the Lahaina banyan court. So banyan trees, you know, those crazy ones that have all the drippy stuff and they're all old school and cool. Right up the street from Maui's oldest living banyan tree. So if you're, again, if going to places where you're like, ooh, that sounds interesting. Like, I want to go to the biggest. I want to go visit all the big Buddhas in the world. Boom. There's one for your list. Or, oh, I want to eat that food that you can't get anywhere else. Boom. That's like how you define what excites you when you go on vacation. But use that same, like, little divining rod to figure out what you want to do in your life. Like, oh, I want to go, like, you know, explore that. Or I want to learn that language. Or, man, I would love to be able to do the yoga. Or, boy, I really want a clean house. Like, whatever it is, like, figure out the things that are important to you. You've got the steering wheel. Drive your life towards them, all right? This portion of the show brought to you by Maud Betty's Just Drive Your Life. I know I get out on a jag, but I'm just so passionate about people figuring out what to do with the time on this planet you have. Yeah, you know, I'll be honest, Jeff Cooper, yeah, Retro Road Husband, he should have sang that, but it's okay. He's busy working on a new album, and he actually, I said to him, you're lucky I didn't ask you to play anything on the ukulele. I mean, if he's watching right now and he decides to come out here and play the Buddha's belly on a ukulele, he could do that, but it's not part of the show. And he's probably not watching, so it's okay. But good call. And I don't think next week, I don't think there's many songs about Alaska, but we'll see it. North to Alaska, The Rush is On, something like that. But I wicked digress. I apologize. I like went out onto the limb of a banyan tree, boop, and I fell down. So let's get back on this. So we were on Maui, and there's a bunch of other little fun places to do, things to do, but there's just a speckle. And I want to encourage you to, you know, take a look and see what you would love to do. But now let's get to the island of Hawaii. I'll love Hawaii. Get it? I love Hawaii. So it's the biggest one of the Hawaiian Islands, but I believe it is one of the least populated, maybe. Kind of rocky and stuff. Like right down here, you've obviously got the, not obviously, it's obvious to me because I put the pin on the map, but you've got the volcanoes. You can go to Volcano, I was going to say Volcano Island, like I'm totally making stuff up. Hold on. Let me see what it's called. Close. Hawaiian Volcanoes National Park, so you can see volcanoes. There's the Mauna Loa Macadamia Nut Center. Num, num, num. Who does not like the macadamia nuts? Maud Betty likes the macadamias. So I'd go to the place where they get them, and I would get the free samples, and I might buy a gift and send it home to myself or my mother, or, you know, somebody worthy. But here's a neat place. There's a place called Captain Cook that's on the west coast of the island of Hawaii, named after the famous Captain Cook. And there's a place called the Manago Hotel, and it's kind of this old school place. And I'm not saying don't stay there as a hotel, but the reason I'm recommending it is because they have a restaurant attached to it that is, to me, even more fascinating. You know, your mileage may vary as far as what kind of hotels you stay in, if you want fancy, if you don't want fancy, if you don't mind it being a little bit rustic. So I don't even want to go there, but check that out for a hotel. But here's the neat thing. They've got the restaurant attached to it. You look at pictures, totally old school looking. It's been around over 100 years. I think it says it is the Hawaii's oldest restaurant. Again, that's a little clue. Like you want to be like, I want to travel the world, or I want to travel to every state, and I want to go to the oldest restaurant in every state. That's like a good excuse to go explore the world around you. So this is the Manago Hotel Restaurant. It's been open since 1917, and it's still family owned and operated. So third generation, whoops, wrong hand, third generation. And they are totally kind of a dining hall, very kind of local yokel place, which I love. I love going to places that are not super duper fancy, you know, unnecessarily stuffy. And this place doesn't look stuffy at all. They're famous for their pork chops cooked in an iron skillet. And I will say, if you Google them and you look at the pictures, all of a sudden you'll be craving a pork chop, because that's what happened to me. So that's the Manago Hotel and Restaurant at Captain Cook on the Isle of Hawaii. There is the Aloha Theater, and I'm not even going to pretend to mangle the name of the town, but there is The Aloha Theater began in 1929, silent movie house. There was a fire, there was all this stuff, and now it is the home of the Kona Association for the Performing Arts. So that's a really cool place to check out. There's also another couple of, theaters in here. There's the Kahilu Theater. Oh, this was a neat story. This is the reason I put this one in here. So architecturally, I'm sure I don't want to say notable, but it probably has some interest in it. But this is a story that I love. So this theater, now I've already mangled the name, the Kahilu Theater was opened up by this guy. His name is Richard Smart. And there's a place called Parker Ranch on the island of Hawaii, and he inherited this from his parents, right? So here he is. He inherits all this money and stuff like that, but what he really wants to do, and this is the thing that cracks me up because I always use this as an example, he doesn't want to be a rancher. He wants to be on the stage. Cue the jazz hands. And so he actually loved the theater, and he left Hawaii for decades and spent 30 years performing on Broadway. And then he headlined at all these places. So it was great. He had the opportunity to go live the life he loved instead of being stuck being a rancher because he thought his parents wanted him to do that. But in the meantime, after he did all that, he did return to Hawaii, and he opened up this theater to then share his love of the theater with people in the community. So he built this place to say, this is something I love, and I hope you love it too. And I just think that is so great, to have the nerve and to have the courage to go and follow your heart and your dreams instead of doing what you think other people want you to do. That's a clue to life, people. That's right there. I know myself, and I guess I know I'm veering off into the woo-woo land, but I'm telling you, my life changed so much more for the better when I started paying attention to what was important to my heart versus spending all the time trying to do the things that I thought that other people wanted me to do. Just throwing it out there. Just drive your life. Okay? So that is the Kahilu Theater on the island of Hawaii. A couple of other places there, and then after that, we're going to talk about food. So that was one of the things that I realized that there are a lot of things. I'll give you some tips on things to eat if that's what you like to do on vacation, because I like to do that. That's why you only see me now from the neck up. Just saying. So another place to get malasadas, speaking of the foods, there's a place called Tex Drive-In, like Texas Drive-In on the island of Hawaii. And we had the macadamia nuts. And yeah, so now we pretty much have covered a number of these places, because here's the deal. I don't want to send you to tons of places that are built, which is usually my jam, because there is so much interesting places all around here, beaches and waterfalls and volcanoes and stuff that you will never see at home. When you go home, you can have a burger. You can go shopping for trinkets, right? But when you're here, absorb what you can't see at home, okay? And what you're also going to do, if I've done my job correctly, is you're going to eat some food that you might not find easily where you live, okay? Hawaiian food. And I'm telling you that I started getting so hungry when I started doing my research for this. So in no particular order, Hawaiian shave ice. Now it's not crunchy and hard like a snow cone. It's like fluffy clouds, and they put different toppings and different flavors in it. So that's a thing where you can say, I'm going to have a Hawaiian shave ice on every one of the islands that I go to, right? There's a thing. Poke. Now, you can kind of get poke a lot, at least where we are. Wegmans grocery store has it. It's like a thing now. And if you don't have it or you don't know what it is, basically it is fresh fish kind of marinated, and it's got seaweed, spices, onions, sesame oil, and soy sauce, and then little crunchy nuts in it. And then they typically put it over rice, seaweed salad, a couple of different things, and you kind of mix it up. First time I actually had it was at, I think it was Hale Pele Tiki Bar in Portland, Oregon. And it's almost like if you like sushi like I like sushi, I don't know where that just came from. But anyhow, if you like sushi like I like sushi, that's where it came from. you might enjoy this because it's kind of marinated, almost like ceviche. So it's not cooked fish, but it's fresh fish, but it won't make you sick. But poke. So you could do a thing where you're like, ooh, you know what? I'm going to find out the best places to get poke or pokey on the island that I'm at. And I mean, look at how much water they're running. You know you're going to get fresh fish, right? So do that. Poi. Now, poi is an interesting thing. Thank you. Yes, Susan, you're so right. I haven't tried it, but I will probably try it strike that, reverse it. When I go to Hawaii, I will try the poi. I won't say I will like it or eat a lot of it, but I will try it. And that is taro root, kind of mushed up. And even my friend who lives in Hawaii was kind of like, meh, it's an acquired taste. My other friend who I went to high school with, she loves things like kind of bitter tasting things like turnips and whatnot. So I was thinking that she might like this. But poi is a thing, and I think it's purple as well. What's that thing from Wayne's World? You know, I should have had that where I have like the postcards come behind me and they're in like, oh, look, I'm in Hawaii. It's like, you know, mukalaka, like, you know, pass the poi mahalo. I paraphrase. Anyhow, here's another thing, and this to me was fascinating too because of the history of it, and I'm talking about the 20th century history. Spam musubi. Now again, I've had some of this in like New Jersey at Asbury Park. I went to a brunch where, if you like kind of Hawaiian slack key guitar and little slide guitar, Slowy and the Boats. People, write down that band name, go get their stuff, Slowy and the Boats. All right. They are local friends. They are excellent. They do excellent kind of like tiki inspired Hawaiian-ish music. Very beautiful. Slowy and the Boats. We went to a brunch that they did in Asbury Park at the Surf Music Festival, and this is the first time I ever had this spam musabi, and it's basically like a slice of spam on a bed of rice, kind of like what do you call that? Like sushi rice, and then they wrap it in the seaweed that they would wrap it with. They would wrap sushi with, and it is a delicacy, or it's a staple rather. I don't know if it's delicacy. It's a staple in many places in Hawaii, and that's because, think about it. So it became popular because spam was sent over in mass quantities to Hawaii during World War II because they were an island. They were in the midst of all this war. You know, they're in the middle between Japan and the mainland. And so if somehow they couldn't get food, they would be in trouble. Right? So spam is one of those things that ended up being a part of their diet because it was introduced because of war. And I just think I love finding out more about that type of thing. Also, you'll see a lot of foods that are introduced from Japan. And as I said, the Portuguese malasadas and even things that are the original like Hawaii people like have the taro root. You know, there's all sorts of different ethnic cultures bring their places. Bring the things that are important to them to the table, literally. Much like my people brought potatoes and drinking. I kid. Kind of not, but I kind of kid. So that's spam. And then, as I mentioned, the plate lunch. The plate lunch is a thing. And then here's an interesting thing. So I was reading some of these recipes for Hawaiian things to eat when you're in Hawaii, right? And one of them was Kahlua pig. And I'm thinking Kahlua, you know, like the coffee drink, the alcoholic coffee drink. No, I was wrong. Kahlua is a traditional Hawaiian cooking method that bakes things underground. So like Kahlua pork isn't pork with like coffee sauce on it, which could be good, but it's pork that they bake underground. So you could get that maybe if you're at a Hawaiian luau. You know, that's something, so you know a little bit more about the regional treats that you would get when you're in Hawaii. So you're not just scurrying for the things that you would eat at home, because when you get home, that's what you're gonna eat. So here's the deal. That's all I have for Hawaii. It's a small state, and I specifically only gave you a little tidbitty things on a few of the different islands because I really would love you as explorers on your own to get excited about going to Hawaii or any of these states, but then do the research a little bit for yourself. for the things that you're excited about. Now, if you notice, I don't mention things that don't thrill me. So you didn't hear anything about sports. You didn't hear anything about gambling or cigars or, I don't know, shopping for high-heeled shoes. Like, that doesn't float my boat. I shared with you the things that light me up. And because you are listening, maybe there's either things that you know, are your groove. You groove on them, as Todd Kimmel would say. But I really encourage you both for a travel point of view, but also a life point of view. Like, really hone in on the things that light you up, the things that make you excited. Write them down. I'm telling you, people, the power of writing it down makes all the difference. That's like a secret ingredient to making things happen. Get it out of your head, onto paper or your computer, and then look at it outside of yourself and say, yes, I want to do that. Because yes, I now, even though I was supposed to be in Hawaii this week and next week, now I know so much more about what I want to do there and what maybe you want to do there, and I can't wait to get there. So there's the Retro Roadmap Hawaii issue. Now, here's the funny thing. I printed this off and I forgot, do I even have, so next week I continue. This is episode 40. Next week will be episode 41, and I'm going to do all of the states, all 50 states before the end of the year. A couple of breaks for Christmas Eve, and I think Thanksgiving's a Thursday. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing this on Thanksgiving. But next week is going to be Alaska, because I figured, why the heck not? Take the ones that they usually have, like, on the side of the puzzle. Like, they, you know, can you imagine a puzzle of the U.S. that it was just all this blue? That would take a wicked long time. So we're going to go from here up to Alaska. I don't know how many pins are going to be there, so it may not be an hour-long show. Then from there, we're going to come back. It's so funny because we were in New Mexico. So the week after that, we'll be in Arizona. And then we'll go up and down, and we'll end up in California on New Year's Eve day. And then who knows what's up with Retro Roadmap 2021. You know, we'll see what happens. But this is Maud Betty saying aloha, which means hello and goodbye in Hawaiian, saying thank you so much for showing up to the 40th episode of me, Maud Betty, Beth Lennon, trying to inspire and entertain you for an hour or so while we go through this craziness together. And as a reminder, you always have your hands on the wheel of your life. That's a steering wheel. It moves. So if you're not driving in the direction that you want, steer in a different direction. Figure out where you want to go, or even just the direction you want to avoid, and then just drive your life, okay? So Maud Betty signing off, reminding you, you've got your hands on the wheel, just drive your life. I'll see you next week.